Hello everyone, welcome back to another G1 Transformer review. This is an Autobot vehicle, which is the character name, which is Sideswipe. He was heavily into the G1 cartoon, so I would imagine anyone that's familiar with the cartoon would recognise this figure straight away. He transformed into a Lamborghini Countach, and I'll just sort of bring that in so you can see it in all the sides. Quite a nice sort of detailing on him. The rear section is metal, whereas a lot of the front section is just made up of plastic, so you might notice a slight colour difference in the front to the back, but that's because obviously the plastic slightly fades out compared to the paintwork on the metal. It's a very nice sort of conditioned version, a little bit ragged on a couple of stickers, but it's not worth re-stickering because it's in pretty good condition really. He came with a white blaster for his hand weapon and a shoulder mounted rocket launcher, and I'll just show you the rocket. They would have come with 3 of these, but I've only got 2 to hand, and obviously they just plug in and fire off by the press of the red section on the top of the rocket launcher. I think this one, no, the springs do tend to go on these after time, so don't always fire. It's probably just for the well, because they're quite difficult to pick up these days. Getting spare parts are usually quite expensive. What I would say is they did reissue this mould as Red Alert later on, but obviously he was more of a fire vehicle, so he had lights on the top and he was mainly white with red details. And of course his Sideswipe's character obviously had a brother who was Sunstreaker, who was a yellow Lamborghini, though a completely different mould and a completely different transformation. They do look really good together. I do have them both, well I have all 3 actually, but I'll get around to reviewing each one separately and sort of focusing on each figure at a time really. I think they deserve that. There's quite a nicely detailed car mode with all the engine grills, air intakes, and like I say, with the sticker details of the lights and that on the back, and a nice chrome wheels. You obviously, when you start getting to Transformers this age, you do have to watch out for obviously tyre perishing on the rubber. You can of course sort of get reissue ones probably and replace them with from a reissue, but unfortunate in the fact that this one's in really good nick. I'll transform you for you now, and to start with we pull back the rear section and this becomes his legs, so you pull each side and that opens up in the centre with a reassuring click, and then really mainly start now from the underside where you can basically see the basic transformation here of the G1 sort of style cars. You flip the bottom pieces of silver to bring out his toes, which have, again have got nice sticker details on chrome stickers, and you then have to pull out the, I'll just move the camera up slightly so you can see it a little bit better. That's it. You just have to pull out on these front wheels. You've got to just turn the sides down slightly just to free them up a little bit, and then you need to pull out on these side sections. Now you have to, it helps just to give it a little wiggle as you pull it out, because obviously they get a little bit tight and a bit delicate as they get older, and do the same on this side, so they extend like that. And then the next part to do is to flip the whole front section of the car down and over, and that forms his chest. As you can obviously see, his arms are inside the doors there, and you can bring these out as well. like so. And then the last part to do is under the windscreen, which on all G1 cars is a very delicate part, and you have to really have to watch these that they don't snap off. So if you flip it up slightly, this centre black section is separate, and you just, using your friction of your thumb, just revolve it round until you can get hold of his head, and then you can bring his head up. Now he looks a little bit of a pinhead because it's quite a small head, but it's quite G1 cartoon accurate. They did get this figure reasonably good in the cartoon to actually what was originally a Diaclone car, and I believe he was almost in the colour scheme of Prowl when he was in the Diaclone series, so he was a police car, which again maybe hence why they brought out Red Alert later, but obviously in a red and white version rather than black and white. As I say, he's got his hand blaster weapon which pegs in either fist. They've both got holes for it, and then the shoulder weapon fits on the red section where you pulled it out from the top there, which is on his shoulder. And obviously with these guns they just clip on, and obviously you have to watch that they don't break, so just again just a bit of care and just wiggle it as you put it on, and it just snaps on in position fine. And that's Sideswipe. As I say, it's a really nice condition one, this one, with nothing broken on it, and good sort of like still retains his good colour, hasn't really discoloured at all. And that's about it for this review. Hope you've enjoyed it, and it's a very iconic G1 car, and I'd recommend getting him if you can pick one up sort of reasonable price. He's certainly one of the original cars to pick up. He's, I would say, slightly better than Sunstreaker, although Sunstreaker does have his plus sides. He's a little bit more clunky, where this figure is a little bit more, like I say, G1 accurate to the cartoon. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed that review, and I shall see you again for another Transformers review.